This is Riddle and the Reporter with Junie Riddle and Nick Keyser on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
To Riddle and the Reporter on this Saturday morning. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser live from the Game Studio, sponsored by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And also, you can watch the streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook live every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app and use promo code THEGAME. Happy Saturday, fellas. As always, the weekend is now kicked off. How are we all doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Testing 1, 2, 3, Fraser. We are rolling this Saturday.
Yeah. I started talking. I was like, why can't I hear myself?
Yeah, rolling on no sleep right now.
Hey, we're all good. We're all good. And you know what? It was a stellar of a game last night for you, Fraser. So I know it was fun.
It was a part of my take it to the bank and ka-ching. Let's just send it there.
Yeah, but we're rolling. We're having a good time, Junie. I'm glad that Robbie Stanley is now a father officially, so I'm pumped for the Stanley household and looking forward to meeting Allison Reese at some point in time. And so congratulations to the Stanley family. And it's been a fabulous week, including having PK on in the mornings with Joe Rexroad.
It has been, and honestly, PK being on in the mornings has been highly entertaining. Needless
especially
to say,
with Stillman.
Especially with Jared. They're back and forth on Thursday. If you haven't listened to that, you got to go to thegamenashville.com and check out the podcast. 8 o'clock hour. They did 30 minutes of just
that was not
ripping on each
planned.
other. It was good. It was a good back and forth because Charles Robinson ended up having to come on Friday. He joined them at 7:15 to 7:45 on Friday. But yeah, Jared came and filled in on Thursday. Unbeknownst to him, kind of getting ripped on his job performance, which was a bit wild, but
it was fun though. It
was.
Jared had really good.
Jared had some good comebacks to what Paul had to say. Paul made some good points.
And what was really good was Joe sitting right here, kept looking at PK, and he goes, "Wait, let me just back up Stilly here really quickly."
Which is highly, if you tune into the program quite often, you know that is a rarity. So that is how bad it got. Joe Rexroad had to defend Jared Stillman. I mean, that was good stuff. That was good stuff. Their back and forth is always great. But to kick off the show today, we're talking about some major headlines in the NFL. Your New Orleans Saints re-signed Cam Jordan to a 2-year.
Yes.
I think the total is around 27, 28 million.
Yes, 27.5, I believe, but it's 13.75 annual AAV. So I love that move for the New Orleans Saints. He's one of my favorite players on the team. I know that he's had some issues, obviously, throughout his career, but he is one of my favorites to watch in New Orleans. And I'm sure our colleague Michelle is probably pretty happy with that move as well, if I had to guess, being down there in New Orleans now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, Cam Jordan has been one of the more underrated defensive ends in the league. He has been a state of consistency in the last couple of years. I feel like ever since Drew Brees has left, not a lot of people talk about Cam Jordan.
Nope.
So he is coming back.
Not even a lot while he was there. But, I mean, it was enough to the point where it was you knew – that Cam Jordan was probably their best defensive weapon most of the time. Now, there's been some others as well, but that's a good. I think it's a phenomenal.
You could argue Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Marshawn.
Nowadays.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, definitely the Saints defense had an underrated year as well last year.
And Kamara too. Because we just found out yesterday he's going to miss the first 3 games and will not be going up against the Tennessee Titans week 1.
That's huge.
It is.
That is absolutely huge.
They're back. I think that their backfield is prepped for it. Honestly.
Well, here's the thing. And I could care less about the first 3 games that aren't against the Titans, but for in the sense of the matchup, right? They have Williams back there. He obviously had 12 touchdowns last year in Detroit. But you got to understand is this Titans defense was number 1 in run defense last season. And for a downhill runner like Jamal Williams, that's a good matchup for the Titans. And I think when you look at running backs that have given the Titans fits in the past, it's always been those dual threat guys. And Kamara is, I'd say, outside of McCaffrey, he's the best dual threat running back in the game today.
I would say so. I think that's pretty fair. I thought even his days at Tennessee, he showcased that quite a bit. But then when he became a pro, man, he's been one of my favorite running backs to watch. Obviously, he's on my favorite team that I watched growing up aside from the Titans. But I really felt like at the time when they even drafted Kamara, he would be a guy that sticks around for a long time. There was a lot of rumors about him getting moved off a couple of different times, and the running back market has changed so significantly. And so I'm curious to see what that running back room looks like the rest of the year. But the biggest question mark for me is Derek Carr, but we'll see how that looks. But that's a whole other can of worms. We're not here to talk too much about the Saints. But on another end, too, that I thought was unique, Junie, was that the Detroit Lions have completely sold out their season tickets. And it's the first time that they've ever done that.
I genuinely believe since they last won their last division title, which I think is in 1993.
Something like that.
Back when Barry Sanders was still playing. This is the first time that they've gone into a season as like the heavy favorite to win the division.
Expected to do something.
Because, the Minnesota Vikings last year, they led the NFL and by a significant margin of one score fourth quarter comeback victories. I believe they had 8 last year. They were 13-4, but they have lost, I would say, a significant amount of talent on that team. You lose your number 2 in Adam Thielen. And I think, although they drafted my receiver number 1 out of this last draft in Jordan Addison, it might take them a while to kind of get that connection going. They lost one of their off-ball linebackers, Kendricks. He's now with the Chargers. He was one of those guys that could really match up well against slot receivers and tight ends, constantly making big plays in the passing game. And in the modern NFL, I feel like that's very valuable. He was getting up there in age a little bit, but losing him, I feel like that and a couple other pieces that the Vikings lost, they're going to kind of take a step back. And it really is Detroit's division to lose. So super exciting for fans that have been hungry for a win. And honestly, if they do wind up winning the division, this will be the first ever playoff game to ever happen in Ford Field.
I know, which is insane to me to even think about, because I remember playing the old Madden games and taking them to the playoffs then, and it felt strange then, but now it's a real possibility. And that whole division will be really fun to watch this year. I think in some ways it'll be closer than what people probably think, but the Lions, oh my gosh, just the fact that they're expected to do something bigger this year than I would say the last decade, maybe. I don't know, but Matthew Stafford did a good job there. I'm glad to see that Jared Goff is having some success there as well after having a little bit of downtime with the Rams and being moved off of. And we'll see how they do this year, but it's a good storyline. It's a good upward trajectory for them. And one other thing that I kind of like about them is they don't really, they have the expectation, Junie, to be good, but I don't think it's big enough to where it's, you have to necessarily. It's not like they've been bad for a long enough where it's, okay, we're expected to actually do something this year. But even if it's not as great as what people thought, it's not going to be as disappointing, maybe. But also, too, with the roster, they should be expected to be a bigger team this year.
See, I would disagree with that.
You don't think so?
I genuinely think that, my barber is actually a giant Lions fan from Detroit.
All right.
And I would say that he is very hungry for this team to actually do something. And, Joe Rexford talks about it all the time. He grew up a Lions fan, and he ditched his fandom just because of his frustration with the team. And I think that those fans that have hung on for so long and tried to wait until the day had come to where they're back into relevancy this year with how the NFC is easily the much weaker conference, and it's very much so wide open. And you look at this, and you can make the argument that Detroit has a top 3 roster in that conference. And it's about time that they do something with it. And I think with the hype around Dan Campbell, the step that they took forward, I think that Lions fans are hungry for this, and they do expect them to kind of take that. Because, again, There's no Favre, no Rodgers in Green Bay. The Bears are still working. I think that they're going to be a much improved team. But, again, how much are they going to? And Minnesota obviously taking a step back. But in other news, Taylor Lewan came to Twitter saying that he has a big announcement. And PK, again, like we alluded to earlier, was on the morning show earlier this week. He had some comments about what he thinks that announcement is going to be.
Taylor Lewan is going to officially retire before the season starts. And I know that's not some big shock based on the pictures you've seen of him and how much weight he's lost and all of that.
He's a slot receiver.
But an official retirement is an official retirement, so that's coming.
That was PK Paul Koharski filling in for Robbie Stanley, who, again, congratulations on young Allison Reese. Robbie Stanley is the newest dad here in Nashville. But yeah, no, I think we all saw this coming. I remember, early in the offseason conversations when he did get cut, that there were, a lot of people talked about if he would come back. I never thought he would come back.
No way.
There was rumors of other teams that had interest. I looked at it and I saw the amount of weight he was losing, and I think it's very clear and cut now that he looks like a tight end. Even in the Beer Olympics videos, a guy that used to be 300 plus pounds, you could start to see abs on his stomach. Listen, he's not going to be playing left tackle anytime soon when you got to put 60 pounds on in like a month or so.
And that's being generous to even get him back into the spot. Probably.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like gaining all that weight so quickly. Like, what does that do to your ligaments? And we know his issues with his knees and stuff like that, and the process that he's going with the doctors that repaired that. So I just never thought it was
I never thought he would come back either. And I think after he got hurt last year, that was sort of the worry about him, was he wouldn't be able to come back and play football, or that he may not be interested to come back and play football. And I'm completely fine with his choice. And they've been teasing it all week on their social media account, Bussin' with the Boys, and also Taylor and Will. They've been kind of talking about something is coming, and they've had a lot of, bad experience with Expedia too on social media. But anyway, I think it's been fun to watch Taylor with the success that he had as a player with the two-tone blue. Looking forward to seeing what his announcement is. It may not be anything related to his career. It could very well just be a big announcement for their brand, possibly. I don't know. It could be a conjoined announcement, but time will tell. But that's going to be something to keep an eye on here in Nashville.
Now something to note here. A few weeks ago when Mike Vrabel was on the podcast,
oh yeah, that's right.
He did mention, he's like, am I going to get my own press conference? Am I going to get, this is, and Vrabel's like, yeah. So I think that them talking about it there on that platform, and a few weeks later, coming out with
it's
an
a good
announcement.
hint.
I think that had to be in the talks, in the works afterwards. So it's easily something that is going to get forward. But, hour number one of Riddle and the Reporter, we're going to get into the college football realignment conversation a little bit later this hour. Also, we are going to start our NFL division previews later on in the show. But coming up next, we are going to dive into some of the latest narratives from Titans training camp after this week, what has been going on, and there was also a big-time release that was highly unexpected going into the week. We will get into that next. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McKay.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace.
Dominic Cavity.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tonight, Sounds Baseball is celebrating Hit City Saturday with live music at 5:15 under the Guitar Scoreboard. The first 1,000 fans will take home a Sounds cooler sling. Make sure you get here early for all the family fun. Tickets start at $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com.
Trust your pets with Cottle Vet Clinic in East Nashville in the heart of Inglewood for compassionate care and your fur baby's optimal health. From vaccinations to health checkups with on-site pharmacy, teeth cleaning, grooming, and state-of-the-art surgical procedures, trust Cottle Vet. Now offering boarding. Visit CottleVetClinic.com to learn more. We know you love your pet. And at Cottle Vet Clinic, pets are family.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe here for Superbook Sports. Football season is right around the corner, and now is the time to place your preseason bets with Superbook right here in Tennessee. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use my promo code CHASE to score up to $250 with your first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 simply by dropping my name, Chase, C-H-A-S-E, in the promo code. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who is your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Just download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wagers today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus simply by using Chase in the promo code slot will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Okay, well, if you don't make it in time, I have got you covered.
Be sure to subscribe to the Riddle and the Reporter podcast on Apple, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter.
The conversation is sparkling.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The decision on Jamarco is as simple as him doing some things outside of what you're looking for in practice?
Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at this, that we all have a responsibility to the team. I think my job is to protect the team. I think the player's job is to find a way onto that team. And so we always are going to hold the team in high regard and make sure that everything we do and how we carry ourselves is in the best interest of the team.
That was Mike Vrabel yesterday when being asked about the release of Jamarco Jones. And basically he just laid it out straight. He said, listen, this guy, we said it. We are going to practice how we play. And if you are fighting in a game, you're going to be hurting the team.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I know Chase has kind of done his sandpit of doom, and it's been funny. But I mean, Vrabel obviously took this seriously. So Jamarco Jones on Tuesday got into kind of a helmet tugging match with Jeffrey Simmons. They got both of them kicked out, and I think initially Jamarco got told to go inside, and Jeff Simmons had to go to the sandpit. Jamarco later would go out to the sandpit and do some workouts. And you would think that would kind of be the extent of it, because with the Nicholas Petit-Ferrer suspension, Jamarco Jones was really the favorite to kind of take over at that right tackle position. And then on Thursday, after having an off day on Wednesday, he throws a dirty blindside block crackback on either. I've been seeing multiple sources on this. It was either Jack Gibbons or Chance Campbell. I've seen multiple people say different, but either way, an inside linebacker. So one of the two. So let's say it's just Chance Campbell.
Yeah,
and then that started a fight. Azeez Al-Shaair had to get pulled away. There was a lot of words. And even GM Rand Carthon had to sit and calm Azeez Al-Shaair down, and that ultimately led to Jamarco Jones' release after practice on Thursday.
And this whole situation, look, if he had kept his temper to himself, his temperament at least to the approach of practice is, I'm here to challenge for a spot. I'm here to assert myself. In any given situation that you've got being out there on the field with your new teammates, needless to say, which, by the way, you have your head coach who's already vouching for you even being here, by the way. He was with Seattle. He was a 5th-round pick. Now he's here in Nashville. Not anymore, but he had that defense of the coaches kind of liked me. I knew I could come in here and be myself and also try to stand out. But no, he let the better part of just his attitude get in the way of whatever was going on out there on the field this week. And look, the sandpit of doom doesn't matter to me. It's all about this temperament for me that I'm like, look, if he went out there with the intention of I'm here to just be myself, great. But you don't need to go off on your teammates. That's just uncalled for, and it's unprofessional. And just like what you just said, it's not going to fly in a game. Why would it fly any other time? I didn't know that about Ran Carthon either. So,
yeah, no, that was from Jim Wyatt's breakdown of practice that he had mentioned that. So,
but that just baffles me.
Yeah, and another thing too, and this kind of goes to show you the length that Vrabel gave this guy. You know, he recruited him to Ohio State.
Yes.
Like, he was a part of that. He has known Jamarco Jones since he was in high school, had a lot of belief in this guy, and he soils his opportunity. And it's like, for one thing, to kind of get into a bit of a tugging match with Jeffrey Simmons, I get that. That happens with offense and defensive linemen at every single training camp at all 32 teams across the league. That's one thing.
Yes.
But you throw a dirty block intentionally out of frustration because apparently the defense was dominating up until that point. And apparently it was out of frustration and them kind of chirping and talking. And he did that deliberately. And when you do that and it hurts the team, especially for a guy like Chance Campbell, who a lot of us have making this final 53-man roster, a big special teams player, depth at that inside linebacker position, you know, doing that is, one, going to get somebody hurt, but like, that doesn't even fly in a game.
No, it doesn't.
Nevertheless, a guy on your own team in practice.
Yes, and it doesn't look good for him, even in terms of his career, Junie. I mean, think about it this way. And I'm looking at his numbers right now just for context's sake. And quite frankly, taking a look at this does not encourage me for where he even could land up possibly. I think if at anything, he could be a practice squad player for someone or the right team that goes and says, look, you like join us. However, keep your cool, man. But look, he's also only been part of 36 games. He's only started in 7.
Yeah.
7 games since you've been drafted. And this is the type of crap that you put out there on the field. No, I don't think this would be warranted whatsoever. I'm sure that he's had frustration with people that know him too. Look, that's just part of it. I get it. You're a 27-year-old man playing in the NFL. And I really think this could have been your opportunity to be a starter in the league, and you pretty much blow it here with Mike Vrabel giving you another second chance, I would say. Look, he played in 2 playoff games for Seattle, too. That's something to think about, too. So he knows he's capable of doing it. The coaches know that he's capable of doing it, Junie. So that's frustrating to see. And quite frankly, if it does hurt the Titans, this is one thing that you're going to circle back to is he blew up at training camp, and that was the one problem.
So I think at this moment in time now, we look at a guy like Chris Hubbard, who they signed off the streets, a veteran guy that, you know, had a bunch of starts as a depth piece at right tackle for the Steelers and Browns going back to, you know, 2017 to 2018, 2019. He seems to be the favorite now. That's the first guy that kind of got the opportunity since Jamarco Jones's departure from the Titans. So we will be looking forward to that. Some key notes also from Titans training camp yesterday is John Ojokwu, who Vrabel likes to call OJ.
Yep.
He went down with an injury, and also did tight end Alizé Mack in Friday's practice. Didn't seem like either of those were too much something serious, but obviously something to look forward to as the first preseason game against the Chicago Bears up there in Chicago is 1 week away. So it's actually going to be right after our show at noon next Saturday. So we're going to have to book it home to watch that. So other things to look forward to, I would say Levis had a really good Monday and Tuesday, and then Malik Willis had really good days on Thursday and Friday. So the backup quarterback position continuously is heating up, and I just cannot wait to see these guys actually get into a game setting during the preseason and watch how both of them look. And I really do hope that they get opportunities with the same units. Mm-hmm. That way we can really compare, because it's always hard when one guy gets all the reps against and with the second team unit, and then the other guy is with the third team. It's always hard to gauge how well are these guys actually performing when they're playing with and against two different talent level of players.
Yeah, and quite frankly, if I want to go ahead and make this statement, I would say, and there's not much to read into other than, like you just said, who they would be playing with out there during the preseason games. I would say that we'll see Malik start preseason, I would say, and then you would go into Will Levis, I would believe. So,
no, I definitely think that that's how they should play it, but I want to see Will Levis with the twos just as much as Malik.
Oh, absolutely.
And vice versa with the threes as well. I want to see Will and how he plays with the threes, and Malik and how I want to see how these guys look with both units, and that's the only way that we're going to get an accurate gauge, because as of right now, these guys have been neck and neck.
Yes.
And this has honestly been a surprise to me. I thought Will Levis was going to come in, and I thought with the momentum he was having earlier in the week, he was really going to take that and take leaps and bounds forwards. But obviously, later in the week, Malik Willis has responded. So props to Malik. I mean, This is going to be interesting. So this is kind of a question I wanted to gauge here. During this preseason, I can't really think of another team that has as many interesting preseason storylines as the quarterback battle as we're seeing right now.
Maybe
between
the
these two guys.
49ers a little bit, just because and that's not a preseason as much, but you know what I mean? There's still something there.
I think that's a TV argument. I think that they know if Brock Purdy is healthy with what he did last year, I think he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, what about maybe no, not the Falcons. I don't think I would say anything.
No,
there.
Ritter's for sure going to be the starter there. But it's like, and again,
what about Tampa?
I think it's Baker. I really think it's Baker. Kyle
sure.
Trask, in my opinion, is not good.
I heard, and I was listening to Colin Cowherd talking about how if it's even close for Baker in that competition, he should just retire.
Yeah. No, I mean he should. I mean, he's a Heisman winner, first overall pick. And, Kyle Trask, I believe he was a third round,
I think.
Late second. I can't remember. But, the talent level between the two shouldn't even be comparable, especially with all the experience Baker Mayfield has. And even though Tampa does have one of the more washed-out rosters, I mean, you still have Godwin and Evans out at the wide receiver
But
position.
if anything else stands out to you, just text us 615-737-1025, and just wanted to rattle off a few things for you there.
Yeah,
Junie.
but it just kind of comes down to this. It's like there's not another team that has a veteran quarterback and then two quarterbacks below him fighting to see who's going to take that mantle, in the future, whether it's this year, whether it's next year. I don't know a comparable situation in the league that is similar to that. I feel like a lot of teams this year are going into camp having either their guy solidified or somebody who is very much so heavily favored, kind of like a Baker Mayfield or a Brock Purdy with the Niners and Bucs. But it is very interesting. Few other things that I've noted from this week. Azeez Al-Shaair, somebody that I've personally questioned whether or not he was going to come in and be a really good inside linebacker after losing David Long Jr. Apparently, this guy's been all over the field in the run game and in the pass game, breaking up a lot of passes to guys like Chigakonkwo and others, and then making plays in the backfield in the run game against Derrick Henry. Stepping up and meeting a guy like him, meeting Hassan Haskins in the backfield, another pretty powerful back. He's been making plays on both sides, and it really kind of gives me some more confidence with this defense, knowing that he's taking leaps and bounds after being a rotational piece last year. For
Absolutely, and I've been keeping track of all the other media members as well while they're out there, and I really choose to believe that not only is Azeez standing out too, I feel like at times we've heard good things about Arden Key. Not just with his voice. We all know that that's probably the strongest part to his personality out there on the field. But it's also good to know that Azeez, like you pointed out, he's making plays against some of the most important pieces in this offense, and that is the most attractable thing to me about him so far at training camp. So we'll see what else happens. It's pretty much a game week, so they're going to be approaching it like that this week. I know that there's going to be 3 practices that we'll be able to be going to this week. I believe it's Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, something like that. So we'll see what it looks like this week. Very curious to see who stays healthy and who's going to be part of the second and third team going into that preseason game, Junie.
Absolutely. So coming up next, we are going to dive into the college football realignment. I don't know about Nick, but I have some strong feelings about everything that is going on in the sport. We are going to break down all the latest news that is happening with conference realignment. Next, you're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, fly out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need one?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones.
All shapes, rounds, ovals, radiants, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts. There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
The FedEx St. Jude Championship returns to TPC Southwind, August 9th through the 13th. Don't miss your chance to witness the top 70 players from the PGA Tour season battle it out in the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Only 50 players will make it through Memphis. Don't miss your chance to watch the drama unfold. Daily grounds and upgraded ticket options are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner-occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchens, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
It's a long summer, but don't worry. Hockey will be back soon. You'll hear every slap shot, save, hit, and of course,
knock down in front, rebound, and the score!
On your home for Smashville, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. Is it October yet? You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome.
Tune into the Chase McCabe Show and Caroline, Willie, and D-Mates Monday, as they broadcast live from Titans training camp. It said today. They'll get player interviews and deliver the latest updates with Titans practice as a team preps for the 2023 season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by the Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, Caudill Vet Clinic, and the New Cumberland Development. They will be out there, like you had previously mentioned, on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Gotta get that plug in, man.
Next week. Hopefully,
it's good weather.
The rain does not ruin that,
right,
because they were supposed to be out there 3 days last week, and they did not get out there as much because of the weather. I'm not big on the rain. I hate it whenever. Yeah, for a while there, it felt like we were living in Florida for a bit. So
take a poncho, get out there.
So, I would say the biggest news in sports going on right now is college football realignment.
This is insane.
We are going to wait till a little bit later to give our opinions on this, but we want to give you the latest because all of this came down super quickly. I mean, if you would have asked me if Oregon and Washington were going to be a part of the Big Ten on Monday, I would have said you're crazy.
But then also too, Arizona State, and Utah go into the Big 12.
Well, don't forget about Colorado. So you're talking about 4 teams from the Pac-12 in the last year,
right, are
now moving to the Big 12, and then you got 4 teams from the Pac-12 in the last year, including, USC and UCLA,
right,
moving to the Big Ten.
Yeah, so, I mean, and by the way, these are formal things that have happened. In case you missed it, Junie and I are talking about it. This is real. This is actually happening. So,
and it all came official yesterday afternoon. You said that the Big Ten accepted.
It was around 5 yesterday.
Around 5 o'clock yesterday.
5 Central.
And what was nuts is, obviously, rumblings had kind of come out around, Wednesday, Thursday about all this stuff. And then on Friday morning, I was looking, and it said that Oregon would not be going to the Big Ten.
See, that's what I saw too.
And they were like, they're going to try and sway Arizona to not go to the Big 12 if Oregon is trying to stay and stay true. Because I would say especially with USC and UCLA moving to the Big Ten, and that happened last year. Well, they haven't moved yet, but they announced that they were moving next season, last summer, and so Oregon was like probably the biggest brand left in the Pac-12. So now, in me thinking that they had the potential to stay, I was like, okay, maybe they can somewhat keep this conference together, maybe get a few teams from the Mountain West and just make do with what they have. Because, I mean, already I was not happy with UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten, but now it seems like you have like a whole Western division in the Big Ten.
So, and here's what the Pac-12 actually said in a statement, and I quote, "Today's news is incredibly disappointing for student athletes, fans, alumni, and staff of the Pac-12 who cherish over 100 years of history, tradition, and rivalries of the Conference of Champions. We remain focused on securing the best possible future for each of our member universities." Also, Nicole Auerbach, this is who I was looking more at yesterday because she was breaking a lot of this as quickly as possible. So, like you had said to start off this segment, Oregon originally, and I believe it was the University of Washington. Those two schools was kind of like, oh, well, we don't really know if we want to go over there yet. But then it happened quickly. Like I said, around 5 o'clock yesterday, they all kind of came out and was like, all right, nope, we're all going now. It's official. So they're going over to the Big Ten, and they're going to join next season. When all these moves take place too, and even in our own Conference USA, you and I going over to Western, like schools saying that they're transitioning, that transition year is so strange for a lot of schools because they know where they're going, but you consciously know that, okay, we're here for another year. Yay. Let's go off here, but now they're moving.
What ticks me off about all of this is that it has nothing to do with the game itself.
No.
It has everything to do with money. And this all originates from the Pac-12 working on a new, TV deal and who they were going to go with, and they presented the conference with an Apple TV Plus subscription, the same thing that the MLS is on.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, I love Nashville SC, and we talk about Nashville SC. We put a spot for Nashville SC on this show to talk about it because I enjoy the team and I enjoy the sport. But guess what? I'm not paying $22 a month to sit here and watch MLS and get the MLS package. And so who in their right mind is going to do the same thing for Pac-12 football. Nobody wants to pay extra money to do this. I'm so sick of all these streaming services coming in and making it streaming only, and you got to buy all these different outlets just to watch all your teams.
It's frustrating. It really is.
And why? And if you're a program, why would you want to deal with that? So
I
mean,
don't know.
Part of me blames the Pac-12 for this, but also just conference realignment in general has just been a huge issue. It's ruining the integrity of the game. And when I look at this and I'm thinking about like who's left, growing up, like watching a bunch of these rivalries, I really enjoyed like Oregon and Stanford back in the day. That was always a good one. Oregon and Oregon State. You had Washington and Washington State. That's no longer going to be a thing. You know, UCLA and Cal. There's just so many historic rivalries that are going to be ruined because of this. And it's just frustrating that it's all over money.
Yeah,
you know?
It's so disappointing to see. And not only are you going to see all of this take place, but you're also going to see all these other schools. You know, I saw someone joking on Twitter, couldn't even tell you who it was, that it's like, oh, you know, we're going to go over to play in the West, and it's going to be a, 11 o'clock tip-off for volleyball. It's like, yeah, you're going to have really late games now. And it's like, I mean, you're going to have to travel.
Genuinely think about this. Rutgers, who is all the way on the East Coast, is going to have to, within a 2-year span, they're going to have to fly out to Washington, Eugene, Oregon, and then to L.A. a couple times to play the 2 L.A. teams. It's absurd. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
College football is all about region, rivalry, history. And all of that is being taken away because of money.
It's all about pushing that paper, dude. That's exactly what they've been doing for years.
And here's the deal. Is it really going to make the game better?
I don't really look. I heard this on the midday was, well, it's making the product better. How? How is it making the product better? You know what? The transfer portal makes it better. Actually, quite frankly, the portal could even make it worse at times. The portal, for me, even expresses that this is a free agent class. Go play wherever you want. And ultimately, what this is going to do is really change nothing other than the TV deals and saying, hey, we're in a bigger and better conference now. That's all that matters. And so, will the product change? It depends where you're getting good recruiting. That's what matters. It doesn't matter who's going to what conference. Look, don't get me wrong. The next few years, we are going to see this conference probably be pretty strong, Judy. That is probably very true. But long-term wise, I don't think it's going to affect anything. Not really.
And it more or less, like, is it really going to, help the programs that are moving there? Because you're talking about, USC, UCLA, they haven't done anything, since the early 2000s, especially UCLA. Like, UCLA hasn't been a part of anything in football, this century. Like, USC had some good years under Pete Carroll and company there in the Reggie Bush years in the early 2000s, but, ever since then, they've been a major disappointment. A team that's always been overhyped, overranked, being thrown in the top 10 based off of their brand, and then every single year they fall out of the conversation. And the best that they ever finish is in the mid-teens in the top 25, which means nothing for a program with the history that they have.
No, it doesn't.
Now you're going to go in with Ohio State, Michigan State, like Wisconsin, and you think that you're going to be a perennial program and that's going to help you compete?
Yeah,
I think it's going to do the opposite.
I think it will, and I think it absolutely could. Now, the sport I'm most passionate about, Junie, before we go to break here, I think that could grow. You could see hockey grow. You absolutely could see that part of it grow. And NCAA hockey could kind of grow out of this a little bit more, so kind of go out west a little bit. But look, in the grand scheme of things, what you and I are talking about, it's atrocious to see that this is taking place as it is. Look, I mean, just to make a small storyline really quickly, even in Conference USA, where you and I came from before I left and graduated, there was a lot of talk about some of those schools that are now in the conference joining, and it's mainly because of the money. It's about who's going to be on TV, who's going to get those CBS games. And look, they're not traveling too much differently, but that's just one facet. I know Conference USA is not a big conference compared to these, but look, this is going around the entire country, whether you like it or not.
So before the show, I did a deep dive in the history of conference realignment, and we are going to take a trip in the past and talk about where this started, why this has been going on, and how things used to be, and if they were better or not. I think you already kind of have an idea of where we are going with this. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter. We are going to get in that next. You're listening to us on here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This week at the Electronic Express Summer Clearance Sales Event, get instant savings of up to 40% off in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, housewares, gaming consoles, speakers, and more. At Electronic Express, we have up to 50% off all major appliances in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, purchase now, pay later with up to 5-year special financing. Shop the Summer Clearance Event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Hi, I'm Chase McCabe with your PBR Minute. Nashville Stampede Days coming back to Bridgestone Arena August 18th through the 20th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com or PBR.com. The Stampede 0-2 to start the young season, but head coach Justin McBride isn't worried about the standings at this point. Right now, he's focused on getting some of his key riders back from injury. And he says that some big ones could return for Nashville.
Yes, we're hoping that we made a trade here a couple of weeks ago, to get two-time world champion Jess Lockwood on our team. Now, he hasn't ridden in about a year and a half, really. It's been kind of off and on. He's had some really serious injuries, but he's still a really young guy, and we're hoping to have him back in the lineup by Nashville's event, and that will be huge if that can happen.
Tickets for the PBR's Nashville Stampede Days are on sale now, NashvilleStampede.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Caroline Fenton here for our friends at Superbook Sports. Football season is right around the corner. I can't wait, and now is the time to place your preseason bets with Superbook in Tennessee. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use promo code Caroline, Caroline, to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250 with promo code Caroline. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who is your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. All you got to do is simply download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus, and the Caroline promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Durham. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win. Pre-game at 6:20.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter.
The conversation is sparkling.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Superbook Sports invites you to a special UFC post-match party with Dustin Jacoby after the fights tonight at Landshark Bar and Grill at Margaritaville on South Broadway. Follow Superbook Sports on social media for more information. That's going to be fun, dude. UFC at Bridgestone Arena tonight. Is this the first time UFC's been in Tennessee?
No, it's not.
It's the second time.
Yeah, well, it's the first time that I've seen it here in Tennessee since I've been a resident.
It will be awesome.
Yeah, it really will be.
Electricity in one building that cannot be described.
Well, think about it. If you imagine what hockey games were like look, even when the Nashville Cats were being showcased back in '98, Jay Moore was telling me about how they took him to a Nashville Cats game before the actual Preds play, and he's like, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be really, really fun, UFC. That was a really random comment to make, but look, that's going to be really fun to have UFC. This sports are coming to Nashville, baby, and I love all the pro sports here in town. Even the Grand Prix is here, so there you go. And it's going to probably be raining later.
So we just talked about all the latest with college football.
Yes.
One thing that we failed to mention last segment is Florida State and them trying to get out of the ACC. Now, it's going to be a lot harder for them because they're kind of tied in. I think it's going to cost them well over $100 million to break out. And they have their deal running through 2036, which a lot of these other conferences, their deals are expiring now. So it's going to be harder for Florida State to move out of the ACC, but they're still pushing really, really hard to kind of find a way to finagle their way out and join either likely the SEC, because now with the Big Ten being at 18 teams, we're going to probably see the SEC try and snag up 2 more teams to stay in lockstep with them. So, but I wanted to dial back, really to my childhood. I started kind of watching college football really around 2004 and 2005. And back then was really when the conferences were perfect. I mean, you had the ACC, all coastal teams right there on the East Coast, up and down, right? Then you had the SEC, which is the Southeast, the heart of the South. You had the Big East, which was kind of mostly the Northeast, but a little bit of the Midwest there with, Pittsburgh and Louisville and even South Florida. They're not an East Coast team, but they're still in the East. Then you had the Big Ten, which was in the Midwest. You had Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, like all right there. It all regionally made sense. The Big 12 was the Southwest, in the middle of the country, the plains of the USA, and then you had the Pac-10, and that was the West Coast teams.
Yeah, and that was fun.
And it seemed like everything was oriented, and on top of that, college football was really balanced.
It was, and also, too, I miss the days of, and this may have been for you, too, growing up, and I know for me, being down here in SEC country, it was you started out the day watching College Game Day. Then after that, you'd have your breakfast. That's what I did with all my buddies. We all ran over to eat. I think we always switched houses. But just like the nostalgic days of waking up, you get to hang out with your buddies, have breakfast. Then you go through and you see Corso make his dumb picks or, be funny, put those helmets on or the mascot heads on and whatever. But also, too, staying up all night to watch as long of college football as you want, especially because the games are on out west. All the big SEC games are wrapping up usually. And so the days of staying up late and enjoying it are probably going to go away a little bit and maybe go away sooner rather than we like, because look, like you mentioned about the streaming, and streaming is not going to go away, but I think streaming will hurt it a little bit because not everyone's going to want to pay that subscription. Not everyone's going to want to be doing that. And you could bootleg it. You could pay it, obviously, but let's be realistic. You'd probably rather go. But even if you go, it costs so much damn money to go, and it just budget for every single game. Look, I know a guy that travels for LSU, and that's his devotion to life, is going to all the LSU games. Probably has the longest record of going to consecutive games. But we're going to see a lot of devoted fans, I feel like, Junie, and families that have student athletes. They're not going to be able to support them as much as they would probably like to. And that's another sad part to this that is unfortunately a storyline.
So I ran some numbers here. And so I wanted to start with the first year I really started watching college football in 2004, up to 2011, which I think that era, for me, is how college football was supposed to be made.
All right.
So I did a thing of top 25 finishes for teams in those conferences.
I like it.
The ACC had 29 teams within that span between 2004 and 2011 finish in the top 25 in the final AP poll. The Big 12 had 30. The Big 10 had 29. The Big East had 16. The SEC had 39, and the Pac-10 had 24.
So balanced.
So it was very balanced. The only really outliers were the SEC and the Big East. Obviously, the Big East didn't have as many teams as the other conferences. The Big East, out of the Power Six, when it was still the Power Six, was the weakest conference, and obviously the SEC. But when you looked at the Pac-10, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the ACC, they were all right there with one another.
They were, and it was
constantly
fun.
competing. So I also ran some numbers as well. Since 2000, championship appearances per conference. This might surprise you.
Okay, let's go.
Since 2000, championship appearances in the ACC, 8. The Big 12, 8. The Big 10, 5. Big East, 0. SEC, 20.
Of course.
There's your two outliers.
There you go.
And the Pac-10, 4. So, again, you're talking ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and Pac-10 during that era, very, very close. Now let's go to championship wins.
Okay.
ACC, 4. Big 12, 2. Big 10, 2. Big East, 0. SEC, 14. And Pac-10, 1. So, again, the same 4 conferences outside of the Big East and SEC, which are outliers in college football at this time period, they were roughly very close to one another. And the thing about this is the Big Ten has less championship appearances and just as many championships as the Big 12 and less than the ACC. And really, that's dominated all by Ohio State.
Yeah.
All of those appearances are Ohio State. And it's like, why is it the Big Ten that everybody's rushing to go be a part of? When really all the other conferences since the year 2000, outside of the Big East, and I'd say they're better than the Pac-10, but the Big 12 and ACC have been better than them.
Yeah, they absolutely have been. And when they have won, it has been impressive wins too, for the most part. I would want to, just toss out there is, look, whenever they've won, it's been more impressive because when they do get there, they're huge standouts. They love when they have a storyline like that pop up where it's, hey, we're here. We're going to win. And guess what? They usually have a really damn good team, and that's been fun to watch too. One other part too that I think influences a lot of what is going on today that I think is quite obvious is NIL. And here's why I want to say that. All the kids, like I even alluded to earlier, this portal, it's essentially free agency. So when you see all these kids going across the country, changing, going wherever they want to, hey, I didn't get enough playing time here, I'm going to leave. Vrabel talked about that on Bussin' actually too. He brought up how, look, I don't want to coach that. Oh, if I'm not a starter, I'm just going to leave. Yeah, they will. They'll go somewhere else. They'll go play for either, a smaller school, or they'll go up and they'll play somewhere else. But look, I feel like too, all the talent, when all of these schools leave and go to these conferences, Junie, they're going to attract all of these free agents, if you ask me, these free agent athletes, whatever you want to call them. And look, you're going to have an oversaturated amount of athletes going to certain conferences. I'd love to see in the next couple of years, maybe 2-3 years, but I think a 5-year outlook of what the portal looks like, where these schools got the most transfers from, I'd love to see that.
It'll definitely be interesting. College football, as we know it, is no longer. And before we head to break, I'm going to pull up 3 instances that changed it. Number 1, in 2011, when Nebraska and Colorado left the Big 12, Nebraska goes to the Big 10, Colorado goes to the Pac 12. And then the following year, the Big 12 also loses A&M and Missouri. So the Big 12 lost 4 teams in 2 years. And A&M and Missouri obviously went to the SEC where they are now. And then in 2013, the Big East dismantles and becomes the AAC essentially, in Pittsburgh and Syracuse moved to the ACC. Ever since then, college football has never been the same. And I think it's genuinely ruining the sport. And when it comes down to money dictating how the sport is and the fans having a high disapproval rating, it's very disappointing to see money take over something that has been so precious to so many people. But coming up next, we're going to take a bit of a turn. Next 5 weeks, we are going to be breaking down divisions and then leading up to our season preview of the NFL. We start with the AFC and NFC East to kick off the 10 o'clock hour. We will get into that next. You are listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rex Road for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jared Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jared Companies. For more, visit jaredcompaniesinc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing, towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types of towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
If you missed the latest from Robbie and Rex Road.
WHMR all day, okay? But this is clearly, I think what this does is, in case we didn't know already, I think this really crystallizes why people think the Titans are bad. And the thing is, there's a variety of different people. Like so I expect a GM or personnel person to have a better grasp on something like this. If it's like a coach who, like, they don't play Tannehill or something, then I can kind of see it, like an NFC coach and they see him every 4 years or whatever, something like that, where you just don't really pay attention. You're not actually watching the film, right? But there's just this too many people here seem to, 5 people voted him tier 4, 2 voted him tier 5, which I didn't even know that existed. Okay?
Yeah.
Robbie and Rex Road, weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Great discussion on the big topics in sports. This is Riddle and the Reporter with Junie Riddle and Nick Keiser on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2 of Riddle and the Reporter. Junie Riddle, Nick Keiser, and Nick Frazier behind the glass. We are going to start doing this for the next couple weeks. We're going to spend 2 segments on breaking down every single NFL division leading up. And then the final Sunday before the season, we are going to give you our full season predictions, record, and playoff predictions and Super Bowl predictions as well. So we are going to kick off this little 5-week stint of this with the AFC and NFC divisional predictions. And we are going to kick off this segment in particular with the AFC East, which I think is one of the better divisions in all of football. So when you initially think of this division, I think we all look at the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, who have won this division the past couple years. And for me, I don't know if this team came out guns a-blazing last year. Everybody was picking them to win the Super Bowl, and then they just fell off. And it really happened with the Von Miller injury.
And that too, but going back to the quarterback series too. Remember when they played Kirk Cousins?
Yep.
That was a pivotal moment for them too, I feel like.
Well, they were supposed to win that game.
Yeah.
And they would have, but Josh, like they stopped Kirk Cousins when he tried to run it in on 4th down.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get the ball back on the 1 with like 30-some-odd seconds left. And Josh Allen fumbles, and they score.
Yep, they got lucky.
That was nuts. But
that's all that matters.
But really, I kind of see this team maybe taking a step back this year.
They could. Then they very well could. And the reason that they would probably do that, it's going to be on how does Diggs play this year. Now, we know what he is.
Yeah.
Yes, we know what he is. But what is his relationship going to be like on the field this year? That's going to be one of the biggest things for me, and I'm sure that's how you're thinking too. But also, you brought up Von Miller. They have some older guys on defense too.
Mm-hmm.
The guys on defense are studs, but realistically, are they going to get exposed? Are they going to be consistent?
Yeah, like Jordan Poyer, he's a really good safety. Had a good year last year.
Right.
He's getting a little bit older. Micah Hyde,
Mm-hmm.
always dealing with injuries. Tre'Davious White, he's been dealing with injuries as well. I just don't think that this defense is going to be as good as they were. They were into the top 5 conversation the past 2 years, and I don't think they're going to be as good. And I think, like you said, that relationship with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen is going to hurt them.
And quickly, too, one other guy I like watching on their defense is Matt Milano.
Yeah,
he's fun to watch.
Okay. The one bright spot on the defense, he's
him.
nasty.
Yes. Now, and I don't know, I don't remember names as much, so I have to look at the depth chart. But last year when I watched the Bills, Milano was definitely one of my favorites on their defense.
Oh, yeah. Definitely watch them a lot. But the team in this division that has been taking up all the headlines this offseason, and for good reasons, is the New York Jets.
Yeah.
And that is because they acquired Aaron Rodgers after his 18-year stint with the Green Bay Packers in a team that has a lot of young talent on offense. I mean, they had 2 guys up for the Offensive Rookie of the Year last year until Breece Hall tore his ACL in the middle of the season. But him and Garrett Wilson were both competing for that title. And then you also look at their defense, which really kept them in games all year long. They were a top 10 unit.
Yeah.
Without an offense at all. I mean, they were fluctuating between, Mike White and what was left of Joe Flacco last year. But now you got Aaron Rodgers, this young core group. They brought in Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb. And a signing that not a lot of people are talking about, Mecole Hardman from the Chiefs.
That's right.
Speedster.
Yeah.
They're deep at wide receiver this year.
They are. Not only that, but I feel like, too, they're not going to go to tight end very much. I do like C.J. Uzomah. I liked him when he played for the Bengals. I thought he was a standout there. I know that Tyler Conklin is there with him too. But I also feel like what you just said, they have a star-studded offense. You even have Corey Davis. Corey Davis is just chilling over there too. So you could see a lot of guys pop off because, look, Randall Cobb and Aaron Rodgers, they can pop off anytime they want if they need to. But you've also got Alan Lazard and Davis right there too. So it's going to be a fun team to watch.
Randall Cobb, obviously he is a shell of himself due to age.
Sure.
But there are certain moments that the man can turn back the clock.
But then back on defense too. Quentin Williams is really fun.
Just signed a contract.
That's going to be huge for them too. And also too, I just talked about Milano, but I also like CJ Mosley. CJ Mosley, I feel like he's a good guy. He's a good presence to have back there in the middle. So I feel like he's going to help dictate what that defense looks like this year.
Yeah, and Sauce Gardner as well.
Can't forget about him.
He had a great year last year. A lot of people are expecting him to be a top 5 corner in the league. So the one weakness that I feel like the Jets have is their offensive line. And if they can be at least serviceable I mean, they're going to be right there in the conversation. But transitioning to the Dolphins, who I think has the most well-rounded team in this division, but it all comes down to one guy, and that's Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes.
Can
absolutely.
he stay healthy? Can he take that next step? We saw flashes of it. I mean, they got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, right? Probably a top 3 1-2 duo at the wide receiver position. I think that they have the best offensive line in this division. You have Teron Armstead, left tackle, Eichenberg, who they drafted out of Notre Dame last year. Like they got some good guys on this offensive line, but it really comes down to Tua and his health.
Yes, and then back on defense too, because Tua is going to be my main just whole entire concern with this entire team is how is Tua going to capitalize on what he didn't get to do last year. So, but on defense, familiar face for us, David Long, he's over there as well.
Yep.
Bradley Chubb, I feel like, is going to have to lead this defense a little bit, but not completely. They have a strong defense.
See, I don't think so. They drafted that kid Jalen Phillips out of
That's
Miami
right.
last year.
That's right.
He had a solid rookie year.
Yeah.
And, Bradley Chubb, he's always dealing with injuries.
Now,
if he can stay healthy, that's a really good 1-2 edge rusher duo.
Yes, and they got Deshaun Elliott back there too. And I really look, Eli Apple is hit or miss, I feel like, at times. And the reason that they got him is because Jalen Ramsey went down.
And he'll be back.
So we'll see what that looks like. But in the meantime, the defense is down one of their star players on defense. So we'll see what happens. But I think, like you said, this is a very well-rounded team.
Javon Holland as well. You brought up Deshaun Elliott. He's more of a veteran, played in Baltimore the last couple of years. But Javon Holland is one of these young safeties that is coming up in the league.
Yeah.
And I really like him. Xavier Howard, he's led the NFL in interceptions, I believe, since 2018,
Probably.
2019. He's led the NFL in total INT. So top to bottom, their front seven is good. Their secondary, their linebacking core, they got great offensive weapons, good O-line. If Tua is healthy, I really see this team as probably the most well-rounded team in this division.
Yeah.
Now, there is a fourth team in this division. I know we've been talking about the 3 heavy hitters, but the New England Patriots, who have dominated this division for the past 2 decades, are projected to be last, and by a significant margin.
They are, and you can't count out Bill and the Pats, so you're going to have to, just still think, okay, they're on the cusp. Well, look, the weapons kind of speak for themselves, quite frankly. Wide receiver might be the best way for them to go in terms of getting some good touchdowns this year. I think up the middle running-wise, the Patriots always surprise me for the most part, Junie, so curious to see what they do there. I also would like to see more of a QB battle, maybe. This is a strong maybe between Jones and Zappy.
Oh, I think
it will
be.
That's only because I know that you and me, because I covered Bailey, but I feel like Bailey has the capability to step up and play games. He did last year because Mac Jones goes down. But then also, too, you have to consider that this defense is not what it used to be. They do have some studs back there. I mentioned to you during a break that Matthew Judon just got a raise. He's got a fully guaranteed deal this year for $13 million or $12 million. But he's back there as well. So we're going to have to see how they step up on defense. Bill always has a tough defense over there. And on offense as well, the other guy that I'm kind of paying close attention to, maybe that's not getting too much attention, is maybe a guy like Juju, because Juju was he's been bouncing around lately. And I feel like for him, he has a lot of pressure to have a good season.
Juju is one of those wide receivers that needs to play with a good
quarterback. And he's built like a
freaking
freaking tight end, too.
He is more bigger body than what he was when he came in the league.
Yes.
That is for sure. But I'm going to give you a sleeper player on this Patriots team that not a lot of people are talking about, but I've heard some rumblings
of. Who do you like?
Josh Uche. He is an outside linebacker across from Matthew Judon. If he has a breakout year, which some Patriots fans are expecting, that can really improve this defense. Also want to mention Christian Gonzalez, their first-round pick. He was projected to go top 10. Very athletic corner out of Oregon. If he has a good rookie year, that can also really shape up this defense as well. So I'm expecting the defense to be serviceable, but when Juju Smith-Schuster and Devontae Parker, as much as I love both of those guys personally, I mean, I watched Devontae Parker play in high school. He played for my rival high school in Louisville,
That's right,
Kentucky.
yeah.
But, as much as I love both of these guys personally, they don't really have that true number one receiver. So I think New England really right now is hands
They are
down
struggling.
the worst team. But again, with Bill Belichick being in the mix,
can't count him out.
But you know what? Something we did fail to mention. You brought up Bailey Zappi and
Yeah.
our alma mater, WKU.
Right.
Mike White is the
Yes.
backup quarterback in Miami.
Yeah.
And so if we see Tua go down,
You could see them play against each
we
other.
could see a Western Kentucky showdown.
You could.
There,
Which
in
I
the AFC
don't
East.
believe has happened yet.
Ever.
So that will
Never.
be interesting.
Never, ever.
If it does happen. So, but there you go. And also too, Jabril Peppers, seasoned veteran, also there with the Pats. Can't count him out too.
Yeah,
but
he's
he's not
all
the same.
right. He's
He's not the same. But anyway.
Either way. So that is our AFC East projection. I think this is going to be one of the more interesting divisions. Some heavy hitters in the AFC to play around with. Somebody's got to miss the playoffs. But we are going to save that for that final episode before the NFL kicks off to give you our official predictions. But coming up next, probably the most popular division because of the markets that carry the NFC East. We're going to break down the big East Coast teams and see what we think coming up next. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser, Riddle and Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones.
All shapes, rounds, ovals, radiants, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts. There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push any of us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment you receive on the day of your move, their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. Call 844-920-2966. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Be sure to subscribe to the Riddle and the Reporter podcast on Apple, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 6:35 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds take on the Durham Bulls, AAA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan is presented by 312 Pizza, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. Back on the program. We just gave our AFC East preview. We are now moving over to the NFC East, one of the more popular divisions in all of football, just because it's the big markets. Philly, Dallas, D.C., New York. I mean, this is a classic.
Yeah, it is. So, but where do you want to start?
I want to start with, obviously, the team that went to the Super Bowl last year, won the division, the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right.
So let's get started here. Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate before he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a new backup in town. Somebody that Titans fans are familiar with. Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota. They got something that, kind of came and gone really quickly. A news story. They got DeAndre Swift from the Lions.
Okay, and that's where I want to start here.
Okay, go ahead.
DeAndre Swift, I've been seeing a lot of different writers, reporters up there at Eagles camp saying that he looks like the lock for RB1, as he probably should be.
Oh, yeah.
But look, he's had injury issues at times, and the guy that's behind him, Rashad Penny, he's going to be a stud. He's going to get a lot of third down runs for sure. Rashad is a really good runner, and he can go on home runs too, which is phenomenal for him. But even Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, they are – look, the whole thing I was going to say, DeAndre, stud. They are really deep at running back. You cannot go wrong with any of these guys. I would even beg to say that this running back core will probably have the most – touchdowns.
Oh, okay. Called shot there.
I think that would be a really, really fun thing to see is them run the ball a lot and them score, but running back is where they stand out. But they also got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Junie.
Yeah.
So.
And let's not mention, this team hands down had the best offensive line.
Yes, they did.
They lost their right guard, Sumalo. Mm-hmm. He wound up signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's one guy that they're going to be missing. But still, when you have Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, I mean, this offensive line is legit. But I would say what really hurt this team the most in the offseason was some of their losses on defense. They lost Javon Hargraves to the 49ers. They lost T.J. Edwards to the Bears. He had a career year at inside linebacker. But, I mean, they're just flat out replacing these guys. Jalen Carter, because of his incidents at Georgia, falls in the draft to number 10 overall to the Eagles.
Can you believe that was it them? No, someone else got – well, it was the Texans got those two stellar picks, but also, too, Jalen Carter falling to the Eagles is like, come on, they went to the Super Bowl, and now they get him?
And I've heard he has been lighting up the first team
as
offensive
he should.
line. I mean, this guy's a beast. I would have thought, outside of the quarterbacks, he was going to be the first non-quarterback taken if this controversy didn't come out. He is that talented.
He would have been special if he had gone a lot earlier, but I think this makes even more sense. He's on a star-studded team. I have always loved watching Fletcher Cox. That's going to be another fun little storyline for me, is seeing what he looks like. Jalen Carter as well. But I also really have liked, at times, I like James Bradbury. I think he's going to be someone to keep an eye out for a little bit. He's not the most flashy player, I would say, Junie. But he is someone that keeps it together back there, too. And I think Reed Blankenship does a pretty decent job, too. But that defense, at times, I felt like got exposed last year. So I want to see how much more cohesive they probably could be after that deep run that they had last year. And deep runs could also affect the team, kind of have like that hangover of they had a long season and they didn't have too much turnover, like you said. But this group seems really motivated this year.
They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson as well to the Lions. Replaced him with a guy I'm familiar with from the Steelers, Terrell Edmonds. Very good hybrid safety that likes to play in the box, a surefire tackler. So with the two corners they have, Bradbury and Darius Slay, they're going to be really solid.
Yeah.
Again, I'd say they're hands down the favorite in this division. But let's move on. Let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys.
Let's do it.
An interesting video came out of the Cowboys the other day. Trayvon Diggs had some very choice words that we cannot say on the radio to Dak Prescott. And for me, I'm really down on the Cowboys this year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to take a steep fall back. 12-5, got a playoff win last year. I'm not seeing a lot of things I like with this team, and especially with Zach Martin sitting out of camp. it's not looking very good for the Cowboys. Good defense, but on offense with Dak and company, I'm not really liking what I'm seeing.
I don't either. And even last year when I was talking on the midday show about what this division would look like, because we've kind of gone over this too on other programs here, and I remember saying, look, this team's going to choke at some point.
Yeah.
They will. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Look, they had to go through the Bucs last year. Look, that's not too much of a tall task. Really, the only flashy thing that I feel like they did this offseason was go get Brandon Cooks. But Brandon Cooks is an okay wide receiver, if you ask me. So he was trying to get out of Houston, and he was just unable to get moved. I think it was because of injury, and something was lingering with him too. But I'm just not as fascinated with the Cowboys, and I never really have been. Like, it's been America's team. Not really for me. I think this could be a team that takes a step back, like you said, this year. The only thing that's going to keep them in games, I feel like, is their defense. And also, too, you got the old man Stephon Gilmore back there, too. So I'm curious to see what he looks like this year. Not that he's going to be a cornerstone to the defense, Junie, but we'll see what happens.
So moving on to another team, and I think this is one of the more interesting teams in the division, is the Washington Commanders. Will they keep the Commander's name? That is to be determined.
We'll see.
Regardless, I think that this team has the best wide receiver core in the entire division. Terry McLaurin, easily the most underrated quarterback. He has a new quarterback every year, and he still throws up 1,000 yards a season. Jahan Dotson, drafted out of Penn State. He had a really good rookie year. And then a good third guy, Curtis Samuel, who played with Terry McLaurin at Ohio State in college. He had a really good bounce-back year last year. So really like their wide receiver core, but it's going to come down to Sam Howell. Only got one start at the end of last year. Looked really good in that start, but what is he? No one really knows.
No.
When he was at North Carolina, the year before he came out, he was projected to be a top 10 pick, and then he ended up falling like I believe in the 4th or 5th round,
something like that,
because he just did not have a great year the year that he got drafted in college.
Right. Okay. So for me, and I did a little bit of digging on the Commanders before we joined on the program this morning. I think the quarterback battle, because I think there really is one, and I think it's going to be a little more obvious in the preseason who is going to win this job. Sam Howell is going to have to get some reps, I feel like, in the preseason games, but I feel like Jacoby's going to be the week 1 starter.
Really?
Yes. I think Jacoby, the amount of experience he got last year with the Browns, I feel like the way he can carry a team when he is called upon could definitely lead it. I don't want to count out Sam Howell, Junie, but I do want to see Sam take a step up, and if he's incapable, well, they got some insurance in Jacoby Brissett, and he might be someone that gets the start. And I think, as we saw last year, this defense is going to keep them in it. So this could be a fun team.
I'm going to say that is a flaming hot take.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now that Sam Howell will be the starter. We have seen what Jacoby Brissett is, and don't get me wrong, when he comes in and fills in, he is a serviceable starter.
Yeah.
But Sam Howell is the unknown. He's the new guy, and I think that they're genuinely going to give him the reins. But I like what you mentioned there.
I think they will too, but I think week 1.
The defense is what's going to lead this team, really. They have a good running game. They have a good defense. Like I mentioned, I think they have the best core of wide receivers in this division. It's really going to come down to, can Sam Howell step up and be the quarterback that this team needs. Now, last, and certainly not least, especially after last year, the Giants, the New York Football Giants, after making the playoffs and winning a playoff game, Daniel Jones gets that big contract. Saquon Barkley, a lot of offseason chatter and drama, but he ended up signing a 1-year, $11 million deal. What do you think of this team going into
this? This can be interesting, and they got Darren Waller at tight end too. And
yes, they did.
He was on my fantasy team last year, and he's fun to watch. I think he could be a weapon for them. Because realistically, I like Wan'Dale Robinson at wide receiver there for them too.
He's been so banged up, though.
I know. That's been the sad thing about it. And Darius Slayton has been, at times, I feel like a good guy for them to go to.
I agree.
I just don't feel like they have a good wide receiver 1. They just don't really have anybody that, like, aside from maybe Sterling Shepard, that can make a good fit, like a I want to say, finesse play every now and then. They don't really have anything outside of that. But also, too, Daniel Bellinger and I feel like Darren Waller are going to be more part of this offense than maybe that meets the eye this year. So that's going to be fun. But on defense, for me, they were pretty solid last year. Kayvon Thibodeau, I mean, he got hurt right last year.
He was banged up a little bit, but
So-
he had a lot of production on the tail end
He
of the
did.
season.
So that's going to be fun to watch their defense this year, and especially because it's going to be his second season, I believe. So that's going to be fun. They also have a familiar face in Adoree Jackson. That's there as well. So I thought he did a decent job last year. Had a good game against the Titans last year, I think.
Yes,
So
he did.
That's going to be a fun little part for the Giants defense. But what else stands out to you, Junie?
Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence on the inside of the defensive line for me is what's going to make this team. Clogging up the interior of the line, leaving Kayvon Thibodeau, and how talented he is with one-on-one opportunities against tackles, I think is what's really going to drive this defense. But
Yeah.
I like what you said about the offense.
Mhm.
The one thing about this team that's going to get held back is their lack of wide receiver one. And I feel like Darren Waller is going to be
You
the
know
number
what?
one option for Daniel Jones.
You know what,
I
too?
really believe he's going to be the leading receiver.
I can't leave this out. Call me a homer, WHMR. I don't care. They have Jalen Hyatt too, and he's actually been having a really good camp. from what I've heard.
I'm shocked by that. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Really?
I felt like Jalen Hyatt was your stereotypical
Sure.
undersized speedster receiver that could show out in college, but I didn't think his game would translate to the NFL.
Did you see what a Dallas Cowboys coach said to him during the combine? You have one skill set. He's like, you got one skill set. What is it? And then he's like, Jalen's looking at him like, what is that skill set? Running routes. No, okay, I'll show you. I'll show you what I got.
And then he
he's
gets
got
drafted
speed.
by the rival.
He's got speed. He's got the hands. Look, Jalen could be a stud. He could develop pretty well. We'll see what he looks like. It's very early. Yes, like I said, call me WHMR Homer here, but look, Jalen was picked for a good reason. I'm curious to see what he looks like this year.
I think in this division in particular, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be hands down the favorite. But when you're talking about the remaining three, I would not be shocked by anybody or call anybody crazy for putting them in any which order that they want to. I think it's that close, fighting for that spot, and especially in the NFC with how weak it is. It'll be really interesting to see how this division plays out.
Yeah.
But that is our two-division preview of today's show. Coming up next, you wrote an article for Nashville Hockey Now about a former Nashville Predator player whose career might be in jeopardy. We're going to get into that and discuss that a little bit coming up next. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players.
I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? This is Teron Davenport. Football season is right around the corner, and now's the time to place your preseason bets with Superbook Sports. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use promo code TDInsider to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code TDInsider. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who's your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Simply download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus, and the TD Insider promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Men, this is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. If you're suffering with erectile dysfunction or other sexual health issues, you need to know that there is no one-size-fits-all treatment because everyone's made differently. That's why our urologists and medical providers offer a broader array of treatment options and can even combine or adjust treatments for greater effectiveness. ED can result from aging, low testosterone, prostate issues, underlying medical conditions, and more. And understanding why you have ED is the first step in treating the condition. That's why you need to know your numbers and understand what other factors might be contributing, and then work with an expert to treat it. And that's where we shine. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we have protocols that are effective in nearly 90% of cases. which means we'll likely find the right treatment for you and you can get your sex life back. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices to serve you, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter.
The conversation is sparkling.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. Ryan Tannehill.
To the end zone, touchdown.
Derrick Henry.
76-yard touchdown.
Kevin Byard.
And as he throws, and it's intercepted.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, wow, what a catch.
The Titans are ready for another season as training camp is underway.
Go to your position. Let's go.
Who will win the camp battles? How are the new additions fitting in? Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Get out of the summer heat and join us for craft brews, food, games, and entertainment at the 2023 Nashville Predators Craft Beer Festival. The fun begins on Friday, August 11th from 6:30 to 10 p.m. at Bridgestone Arena. Proceeds benefit the Preds Foundation, which supports Middle Tennessee nonprofit groups and programs in the community. If you want to check more of that out, go to thenashvillepredators.com to get some more information. But a story came out this week written by our very own Nick Keyser on Nashville Hockey Now, discussing about a former defenseman for the Nashville Predators and how an injury might hold him back in the remainder of his career. We're talking about former Predator Ryan Ellis, who was dealt 2 years ago in the Cody Glass trade to the Philadelphia Flyers. And their GM came out with some certain comments. So do you want to dive into what he had to say, Keyser?
Yeah, so Keith Jones, so he's actually their president of hockey operations, was their interim GM for a little bit of time. So Keith Jones came out Wednesday, was talking to Adam Kimmelman. He's the guy that had the story pretty much break. There were other reporters on this as well, but what I wanted to do was follow up because I was curious, even a few weeks back, what's this going to look like for Ryan going into this next season? Because part of the storyline to the trade is while some fans and some outlets think that, yeah, it's pretty clear and cut that the Preds have won this trade, quote unquote. Yeah, they have for the most part, I would say. Cody Glass has been playing top 6 minutes, was playing on the first line pretty much the back half of the entire season for the Predators. So that's great. That's phenomenal. You can look at it that way. That's not my area of focus here. Yes, the trade matters here for well. But for Ryan Ellis, when the Predators traded him away to Philly, it was with the intention of he had some injury struggles in Nashville. He got elbowed in the head back at the Winter Classic. He's had concussion issues. He's had lower back problems as it is already. And he's already in his early 30s. He's 32. And so Philly was trading for a guy to play on their top defensive pairing. So while Ryan Ellis was that for the Nashville Predators, he played a lot with Roman Josi, Matthias Ekholm. Just to give you more of a brief synopsis of what he did in Nashville, he was more of an offensive threat. So you saw him play a lot on the power play too. So he was a really good addition for the Flyers at the time. Still is if he could still play. So that's the main area of focus with this approach. But what Keith Jones had to say Wednesday strikes it as interesting to me, because I feel like at training camp in a couple of weeks, we'll get some more clarity. So Ryan Ellis has got 4 years left on his contract as well, and it's coming over $6 million a year, which is not cheap. And so the Predators do not account for paying any of this. He's gone. He's been traded for. His contract accounts for 7.8% of what the Flyers are paying their players currently on the roster. They have a lot of young guys, so 7% is a lot. But anyway, they have 2 other guys that are on injured reserve as well. But what I found out, and I was speaking with Ryan Ellis's agent at the time, and he gave me a phone call this week after following up with him, and there's just not a lot of certainty because Ryan doesn't want to come out and talk about it yet. I don't blame him. He probably wants to just weigh it out. He wants to rehab. He wants to see how he feels probably before training camp, but Keith Jones doesn't really expect him to probably be around. And so he has a torn psoas is what they call it. And so it's kind of like this V muscle that runs around like your midsection, your abdomen, and he has it torn. And so that's a lot of movement in your body that goes on there. And
especially as much as you have to
skate,
bend your back just to skate and move the puck.
Everything like that.
Your back strength and your core strength is everything in hockey.
And he's a small man, or a smaller man, playing hockey on defense. It's a physically taxing position for him. And much like Mark Borowiecki being hurt last year, not the same injury, but the same approach of what's going to matter more here. Am I going to be happier having surgery, having rehab, and living out my life? Or am I going to do all this in hopes of trying to play hockey again? He's younger than Mark Borowiecki, but at the same point in time, you have to consider the family, what the rest of your life will look like living comfortably. He's considering every option right now. That's what Rick Curran was talking to me more about, was he's trying to figure out what's best for him still. Yes, he's going through rehab. Yes, he's still trying to figure out what his future looks like, because even Chuck Fletcher, their former GM, told reporters at training camp last year he would not be playing. And there was hopes that later in the season, hey, maybe Ryan can come back, because they were not a playoff team. He just wanted to get some ice time. That never happened. Never has been back on the ice since then. He's missed 160 games, Judy.
Wow.
And so Preds fans may remember, too, this was brought up to me by someone on social media as well. Steve Sullivan, when he was with the Nashville Predators, too, he had a horrible back injury that was suffered against the San Jose Sharks in the playoffs. He missed almost 2 calendar years, a lot like Ryan Ellis, with a back problem. And so Steve Sullivan had back issues beforehand with the Predators, but also beforehand, he actually, believe it or not, Steve Sullivan, he blew out his back doing the dishes when he played for the Maple Leafs. He bent over, blew out his back. It was a horrible ordeal for him. He recovered, but it got worse as he got older. But all this to say that the Predators made that trade probably with the knowledge of knowing he's had injury problems, but it only got worse when he went to Philly and had this occur. So seriously, all the best to Ryan. This is a developing story as well, like I have at the very bottom, and I would love to hear from him at some point, and I believe that at the right time he will speak, whether that's in Philly or Nashville. That's yet to be seen. Some fans, some comments I've gotten back is, bring Ryan back. He needs a one-day contract. That would be phenomenal if the Preds are able to knock that off, if he does decide to retire. 5 games in Philadelphia, has not done very much there. He tried to come back. The one season he got hurt, he was trying to come back, just wasn't able to actually do it, Junie. So a very unfortunate circumstance for Ryan Ellis. Well, was a phenomenal guy here, but that's where he is now.
So he's played 5 games in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That's baffling to me. And I remember, because I had just joined the station around the time that they, moved off of him and Victor Arvidsson.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, the Preds are, kind of in a bit of a transition, trying to find some new pieces after they had that brutal, playoff series with the Carolina Hurricanes. And I remember them trading him and how upset people were, because, like you said, he did make a big impact on this team, kind of being that second scoring option on the blue line behind Roman Josi. And so for him, I wish this guy nothing but the best.
Yeah,
He's a fan
absolutely.
favorite. He seems like a great guy. You know more about him than I do, because as I was coming into Nashville, he was more or less leaving. But no, that's sad, and especially when it's your back, dude. It's more than just hockey.
Yeah,
it's your whole livelihood. And you said he has a family, his kids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about that, but I do know that when you're considering your future, when you're considering your happiness, my own stepdad, he has a lot of back problems too, and I see how physically taxing it is to go through a back injury. I mean, I've had a back injury too, but not as severe as this, and it's been horrible to see from Ryan Ellis' standpoint. He got bullied a lot by opposing teams' forwards that were on the forecheck a lot, and so this does not help his career status whatsoever. Like you and I have said, we wish the best for Ryan, but at the same point in time, this is a very rare injury. That's what Fletcher put it as last training camp before he got fired this offseason or going into it. He said it very, very rare that a player is hurt this way. So we'll see if we hear anything else. Now, training camp is a few weeks away. Like I said, we'll have some more clarity there as well. So looking forward to hearing from him as well. But if he's ready to speak between now and then, I'll let you know if I hear anything else.
We wish nothing but the best for Ryan Ellis, and we hope that he gets a speedy recovery no matter what he does. At the end of the day, when you're talking about an injury like this could potentially affect every single thing that you do in your daily life. So,
yes.
I know I'm speaking for Smashville here, and to say that we all wish Ryan Ellis the best, and hopefully, he can get back there on the ice and do what he loves. But if not, hopefully he can make a full recovery and live out the rest of his life without having some issues. Just crushing news coming out of the Philadelphia Flyers organization. All right, coming up next, we're going to put a bow on things on this Saturday's show like we always do. Nashville SC, they had been struggling the past couple weeks, but they got a major win last night. Nick Frazier was on site for the game. We are going to break down that.
On site.
You were not on site.
I was not on site.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was an away game.
It was an away game. Again, to bring up Apple TV, I don't have a subscription. So,
exactly.
Regardless, he's going to break down what he saw from last night's game. Nashville SC got a huge win up in Cincinnati. We will break that down and the state of the team coming up next. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Junie Riddle,
the guy that can come in and give us some good goal-scoring production.
And Nick Keiser,
another guy that I thought was interesting that got a one-year deal.
Each Saturday morning at 9, it's Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
My student organization was suspended from campus for criticizing the Chinese government. We knew our free speech rights were being violated. That's why we teamed up with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. FIRE launched a full-scale campaign. They talked to the media, sent letters to the school's president, and put billboards up around campus telling our story. That's what FIRE does. They defend everyone's right to free speech. Defend free speech at thefire.org.
Paid for by thefire.org.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company.
And I'm not making any broad determinations on Will Levis's future or his career or even this season based off of today's day of practice. I told you guys that I would not change my opinion of Levis. If he has a bad throw, I'm going to criticize him. And if he, makes good plays, we're going to praise him. But I'm not going to change my opinion of Levis off of one practice. Remember what Bill Polian said. Nobody gets evaluated until the first preseason game. So I'm not going to tell you where I think Levis and Malik are in terms of the quarterback battle because I don't know, and we still have 2 weeks before they play the Chicago Bears, and I think both guys are going to play. But just taking today for what it is worth, Will Levis looks great. Will Levis looked great. He looked like an NFL quarterback.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Durham.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6:20.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back into Riddle and the Reporter, final segment of the day. And the way we always cap off our shows is getting a little bit of a breakdown of some Nashville SC soccer. And who better to have than our very own producer, Nick Frazier, to talk about what he saw from the game. I did not get to watch it. I've already ranted about this whole sports being on exclusive streaming services. I'm just not buying it.
Okay, well, that's all right. The boys in gold will still thrive. They're going on to the round of 16, Junie, whether you get to watch it or not, but that's okay. Now, it was a phenomenal game. I did get to pay attention to it just a little bit. Had some friends over last night. Didn't get to watch it as extensively as I had wanted to. I don't pay for it, but I just keep track of the highlights I get to see on social media. I just do some digging there. But it was fun to see them pick up the pace. Cincinnati is not a team to take for granted whatsoever.
Best team in the league.
Yeah, and looking at this as well, going into PKs, they were 5 for 5 last night, I want to say. And seeing Dax McCarty just put a big stamp on things last night was phenomenal. But Frazier, what was the most unanticipated move last night in the 90th minute? That was a pretty crazy move.
Yeah, I mean, taking out Joe Willis and putting in Elliot, I think pronounce it Panico?
I think so.
Because they did
Panicho or something.
I believe it's Panico because they did a little Panico at the disco for their Twitter. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
No, Nashville SC, Matt Pickens, the goalkeepers coach, did a phenomenal mind games trick, in my opinion, by taking out Joe Willis and putting in a tall, lanky, just Elliot Panico, just not as well known, I guess you could put it that way, or not as well, I guess, versed.
Well, but he's just a new goalie, you know.
But he's the backup.
He's a good young ball player, as they say.
Yeah. Didn't have the best outing the last time at home.
No.
Yeah, obviously with Toluca, but a good way to bounce back by getting the game saving block.
So that has to be highly uncommon to just throw a guy off the bench into straight PKs, right?
I mean, yeah, you don't see it on a regular basis for sure, but I mean, with the way Nashville SC has been playing, I would not have put it past them to do something like this. I mean, if you watched the game last night, it was very, I don't know. To me, I was on the fence about the first half. Nashville was getting pressured a lot, and I was like, oh, this is going to be the same Nashville SC the last couple of games, getting pressured a lot by FC Cincinnati. Like, this is not going to bode well for them. But then eventually, second half, and let me just remind you all this past season so far, I've been talking about set pieces, corners, how Nashville SC do well in the air, yada, 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 all that. Well, their goal comes from a set piece, and, had to be at the right there at the right time. Anibal Godoy puts it in the back of the net. So when you have guys like that, they sniff for goal. They just want to make sure the ball goes in the net. Anibal Godoy is one of those type of guys.
So I was listening to Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace yesterday, and it was the Take It to the Bank segment where all of you all kind of, make your picks for the weekend, make some money. And you were very bullish that they were going to win this game. Now, we've been touching on it the last couple weeks. Nashville SC has been kind of in a down spin, missing a bunch of guys, international play, a lot of guys out due to red cards, all these different things, injuries, you name it. They're going up against the number one team in the MLS in Cincinnati FC. Why were you so bullish about them getting the win?
Just because they had a lot of their guys back. You have Shaq Moore. You have Daniel Lovitz. I mean, back is meaning not MLS standard, but for the League's Cup, they were not suspended. They were all available. Lucas McNaughton was back there. Walker Zimmerman was back there. My only caveat was not seeing Jack back there. I still think he's on that little injury bug.
I think so.
Here's the thing is that when you have something like that and you have guys that battle through adversity come together and really just build that chemistry back, and you're just like, man, we can actually do this. And having Dax McCarty start on the field last night, on the pitch, was pretty monumental. It was the anchor, the pillar in the midfield that they really needed, that stability that they really needed. And, he lasted the full 90.
So they get back into normal league play on August 20th, and they're going to be going up against one of the better teams in the East, the New England Revolution. At what game when they get back? Because I'm seeing New England, and then they play Atlanta, and then they got Inter Miami. I really want this team to be at full strength when they go up against Messi and Inter Miami. And let me tell you, I've already said I don't want to pay for the Apple subscription, but I'll tell you what. If they're healthy, I might have to bite the bullet just to see this team play Messi.
And I don't know if you guys remember a couple weeks ago when I said Nashville SC is done on their downslope. They're now on this upswing.
Yeah.
And I am going to stay true to those words. I think Nashville SC has really turned the corner. And now with this new signing of Sam Surridge, and let me remind you, their next League's Cup match is this Tuesday night.
Yes, it's on Tuesday.
At home.
And on that note, too, I saw this too. Henry Martin, who plays for America, I don't know how to say, I think it's
Club America.
Club America. I was going to say America, like from Drake and Josh. But anyway, Henry Martin left the stadium in a boot last night, and I just wanted to look him up really quickly. He's had 2 goals in his last 5 games, and so that's going to be an interesting storyline for them. They're losing a pivotal guy to their lineup, and so it is on Tuesday night. Tickets went on sale at the start of our show this morning, actually, so not to give them a free plug, but look, they're going to have a pretty big crowd for this game on Tuesday night. It's a big game. I'm not sure that they've made it this far in this kind of tournament.
It's a brand new tournament, so this is first for everything.
So it's going to be fun to see them go up against this squad. They just played the other night as well, so I'm curious to see what that's going to look like, how they can adjust against Nashville SC, because Nashville SC has a lot of Swiss Army knives that can kind of move around in that lineup, I feel like. So that's going to be fun to watch, and more or less, too, yes, the league play will start later this month, and this is a good tune-up for Nashville SC. I think that's pretty fair to say. So that's going to be fun to see them kind of bounce back.
So with all the red card situation that's still lingering over the team, obviously in the tournament it doesn't have an effect on it, but which game, barring injury, is everyone going to be back and available to play for this team?
Ooh,
maybe the 20th, maybe?
No, he's including the red cards and such, so that would not include the 20th.
No, that's right, yeah.
Maybe this Tuesday. I mean, if Jacob Schaufelberg is back, he picked up a little bit of an injury during training this past week. So if he's healthy, and maybe if Jack is back in time, and Randall possibly, maybe it's Tuesday. I doubt it. But if we're looking for a real number, maybe a good game, Atlanta.
Yeah,
the Atlanta game.
I think that's what I said about Sam Surridge playing. Yeah. So we'll see.
Honestly, I'm gonna put myself out there. Sam Surridge, I don't know, could possibly be sooner rather than later.
Okay,
that's kind of what I'm getting at here. That's
I like that.
Kind of what I like seeing on social media. What I've heard through some people, like Sam Surridge might be here sooner rather than later. He's already training with the team, but to be on the field, the pitch, it could be subbed on possibly. I think that's where it's going to come to, is he's going to be subbed on before he starts.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Just to get into the training and all that.
Nick Frazier, good stuff as always. It's always good to see a team thriving. And Frazier has gone out on a limb and said this team is on an upward trajectory. And so as we kind of get into August, in September, playoffs in October, it'll be something to look forward to. So we'll be on the lookout for Nashville SC and how well they are doing. But that is all the time that we have left today. Thank you for tuning in with us this Saturday morning. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser, Nick Frazier, Riddle in the Report.